All right, so let's kick it off again. I wanted to make this this live stream today to specifically talk about the current state of the industry, kind of share what's going on, and look, not that I have the answers or anything in the sense of like I have some inside information. I just go around asking friends and colleagues what's happening, kind of seeing what's out there in the business from my own experience, and that's all I know, right? There's really no one here that can tell you, right, this is what's going to happen or what's happening. No one knows. That's the truth. But we can only just kind of take away from what we see, again, from our network, from our own personal experiences, and kind of share that. And I think that's also, I was having this conversation the other day, how important it is to, because part of what I'll talk about today is just staying in touch with people. And I think that part of that is also to see what is going on. What are people experiencing? What are they hearing? That's just a good reason to reach out to people, to just kind of stay in the loop of what is happening. Because honestly, beyond that, I mean, like no one has really an answer of what's happening or what the foreseeable future is gonna look like. So we just got to help each other out here and share what we're hearing around, from our network or what we're personally experiencing, But as I said in that video, if you have not checked it out, you can find it on the Hollywood Editing Mentor YouTube channel, Editing Jobs in 2026. I should just go up here and pull it up. But check it out. I kind of started talking about it. And one of the things that that inspired me to do that video was that I was hearing that, enough people, I started hearing that we're working. I put it in the chat box. And I said to myself, like, hey, like, what? I know here's the other thing. We're hearing a lot of negative information. Everything. I mean, sometimes I want to like shut off social media because it's like all I'm hearing is like terrible things. And that affects me. I know it affects a lot of people where it's like, all right, I can't take this anymore. So I wanted to create something positive and because it's much needed right now. And so again, from what I was hearing from a lot of friends and colleagues was that they were either, say, starting a project soon or were on a project. And I'm like, you know what? There's work. I've had some leads. And so, yeah, sure, it's not as it was, a couple of years ago. But I feel like it's not as bad as people or like the media makes it out to be. Now, sure, but I'm not saying, look, yes, it still sucks. There's not that much work going on, but there is work. And it's really about, more than ever, about having really, really strong relationships. I mean, that's always been the case for this industry. But I think right now, it's even more important. And that's why I stress not only the networking, but the outreach. And whether it be meeting new people, or just staying in touch with your network. Because again, I've been getting a lot of messages. And I think that's the number one problem, I got to say, is that people have a hard time reaching out to new people, like doing cold outreach, and also just even staying in touch with people. And I got to say that a lot of people get the key is the follow-up. And a lot of people don't do that. And one of the things I hear a lot is like, I'm afraid to reach out. I don't want to bother them. I mean, I constantly hear that. And you don't understand, like that is something that's just going to affect your career if you don't get comfortable with it and do it the right way. Because there's a right way to do it. There's certainly a wrong way to do it. And I get a lot of emails. Or messages. And I can tell you right now that the majority of people are doing it wrong. So another reason why I made that video is to give you some tips on how to keep that momentum going. So because this is part of the industry. these ups and downs, they're part of it. And so it's even being able to manage that and keep moving forward if you still want to do this, and keep building that momentum, and be ready, say, when an opportunity pops up. And so even though you might not be, say, working, though, you can still do work to, stay visible, stay active in the post-production community, and nurture those existing relationships, and also make new ones. So that is very important. And that's the thing about this career, because that's just part of it, right? This roller coaster of work and emotions and everything we feel, it's part of it. Sure, this is a little bit different. It hit harder. But, that's just what this, I think, artistic, industry is going to be like. For probably the majority of people, because some people, look, I know people that are been working nonstop. It's not a lot, but there are those people, right? And so you want to be in certain circles, to keep getting employed. And again, part of that is to manage, the downtime. And there's a way to do it. There's a system that you can implement to do that and still have a career and just keep pushing forward, and to be able to stay, honestly, mentally, physically healthy during that time. I've been through those periods. This is, the stuff that I talk about is literally stuff that I've used in my career. I mean, I've been doing this now for over 20 years. I haven't been, I've been working in scripted now, say, for close to, I think, 7-8 years, right? I haven't just been working in scripted all my life, but I've been a freelancer for a while. And so I've been able to manage it and have a career, a healthy career, for, again, over 20 years. And it's a lot of stuff that I talk about through this program in general, and also just that video that I made. So things that you can keep doing to keep moving forward. Raul, I think what you hear on social media doesn't always equate to real life. I'm hearing the same as you, Joaquin. Meanwhile, social media is just doom and gloom. Exactly. That's the thing. And that's all you hear. Obviously, that grabs your attention, right? It gets, followers and views and whatnot. But, that's why I wanted to make something different. Not for just the sake of making something different. It's just the reality. It's like what I'm seeing. And even, like I said, even though, there's not oh my God, like an overabundance of work, but there's stuff out there, and we can certainly do things. We have a lot more control than we think. And there's certainly things that we can't control, and there's others that we can, to manage all this. And again, I won't stop saying it. Keep that momentum going, and keep pushing forward. And that's what I'm deciding to focus on. Versus, say, all this, negative media, because it does affect me, and I know it does to you as well. So I'm staying away from that and being optimistic and being positive and putting in that work to keep pushing through. And so, look, I went even so far to create what I called, it's a free guide called the 7-Day Momentum Plan. Here, you can download it right now. But this guide gives you, just a system, clear daily focus, what to do, what to prioritize, and how to stay visible without burning out. That's another part of it, because doing all this stuff, having this system and doing it consistently, it is work, it is energy. And, you combine it, say, we're hearing all this, kind of doom and gloom, news and whatnot, and it gets to you and it burns you out. So this guide will help you, stay consistent and keep pushing through without that burnout. It teaches you what to focus on literally this week, where you can create real traction. And all you got to do is just take a couple minutes every day to keep pushing forward, and you will feel that momentum. Again, The link is in the chat. The 7-day momentum plan. You can grab it right now. Gabriel, I think people vent online when things are stressful, for sure. And that gets more engagement from people empathizing. So it gets pushed out more. Exactly. Yeah, no, of course. That's the thing. And so, cool hat. Yeah, Pearl Jam, man. That's the thing. It's like I decided to do something different because I firmly believe that despite, yes, look, the reality is, yes, times are tough. That is a reality. I'm not shying away from that. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm just saying that there actually is work out there, and it's better to develop a strategy, a system that'll help you obviously keep pushing through and building that momentum. Again, if you truly still want to do this, and also that can lead you to finding work. And I've been practicing this, again, for a long time, right? And what it helps me stay afloat, and it helps me stay visible, because I've decided that I do want to do this. I want to do this as much as I can for as long as I can. And I have to develop a system that allows me to do that, because the reality of the industry is, yeah, there's these ups and downs. That's what it is. Editor Edward, hey, Joaquin, thanks for doing the stream. Oh, thank you for being here. Oh, here's a good one. Something to discuss here for sure. When I go to editor networking events, I feel like it turns into a group therapy session. I stopped going because it was keeping me bummed out. I understand you. I understand you. And I think it is a thing. And I think just networking burnout is a thing. Video coming soon. So I think it's about being selective. Part of it is being selective, say, as to what networking events to go to. I used to, just kind of, and I think there's a moment for everything, right? But I used to go, when I was starting out, I was going to like everything, every event. Obviously, things have changed for me as my career has grown. But I just try to be a little bit more selective now, because I don't, want to get burned out. So, and I think it just comes with experience as to like, say, which ones to go to, maybe others to skip, right? Or also say the quantity that you go to, for example, in a week, because if you're in LA, for example, like going to these places, I mean, LA traffic's no joke, right? So like going from place to place and doing it constantly, I mean, it gets exhausting, right? And so you don't want to burn out. And so that's what, again, I try to be a little bit more selective, the ones that I think will be really valuable. And I also try to, I hear you, hearing people, and I understand why people have, why it becomes a therapy session, right? But I also try to guide the conversation, steer it in a positive way. So an example is like, sometimes I'll go and like at an event, or even just with friends talking, like, and it becomes a lot about like, say the AI conversation comes up and all these new things that came up, and it, right away, like the energy drops out, but, and look, again, it's a reality. I'm not saying like it's not happening, right? But I just try to steer it, the conversation in a more, say, positive way, or sometimes like not talk about those things, right? Maybe not even talk about work. And that's the thing, at networking events, it's not always just talking about work. And that's the way, actually, how to really build true relationships and meet people, is to not necessarily talk about work, talk about baseball, right? That just started. That's a good icebreaker. Talk about music. I got my hat today, Pearl Jam hat. I always look at what, say, people are wearing, and like it gives me an idea of what they're into. And so not right away go into like, oh, industry news or AI or the economy, the world. I mean, it's happening, right? It's not that's a reality, but I'm just choosing not to focus on that, say, at this given moment, or at least making an effort not to. David, thanks for the positivity. Welcome. It does help. Also, I have that same shirt. Hell yeah. Awesome. Target, man. Okay, here you go. John Kenny. The last time I saw your live stream a few months ago, everyone was saying that work was starting to pick up. Has the work picked up even more since then, or did it level off? I agree. Yeah. So the last time, I think the last one was in January, and literally, look, I talked to my agent today, and I said the exact same thing, or brought this up, that I felt like January into February there was movement, and then it dropped out. And then now I'm slowly, very, 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 very slowly starting to see movement again. So yes, I agree. There was like a moment, like a couple of weeks, or maybe a month, where like it just kind of went quiet. Now it's like very slowly picking up. And how do I know? Well, because of the emails that I get, circles that I'm in, jobs that are being shared, discussions with my agent. So again, that's the literally insider info that I have, and it's just discussions, conversations that I'm having with people in my network. So Gabrielle, a good question here. I only know of Blue Collar Post Collective. How would I find other events? Yeah, Blue Collar, of course, a great organization. There's a ton of events. There's a ton of events and groups. I mean, I'll kind of go back to when I started. To me, back in the day, it was Facebook. I would just find out through friends, or people would post stuff, and I would just join them. I guess now it's the same way. People start sharing groups. Again, it's like through my network, my friends. Literally, it's like, hey, have you heard of this? I'm going to add you to this group. And they start getting their newsletter or invites. That's literally how it is. It's kind of the same way, like how you find work through contacts. Same way you're finding groups. People just tell me and they invite me. Obviously now, I have this online platform, right? So it's a bit different, but that's always been the case. It's just like, okay, I'm going to this one today. You want to go? Or have you heard of this? Want me to add you to the email list? But I think now you can probably just search, like on, do a Google search, go on Instagram, because a lot of these groups have, websites, Instagram, accounts. It's way easier now. And all you got to do is literally search for it or ask around. The quality of the stream, wow. Does it look good? Sound good? Great. I'm glad it does, because I put in a lot of work into this. It might not seem like it, but I'm moving stuff around, lighting and all this stuff, changing camera settings. So thank you for noticing. Yeah, so there are a lot of events posted on pages like Industry Happenings, on Facebook, or the TV Academy. This posts live. Eric here always posts a ton. I mean, there's a lot. Just got to look around. All right, we got some questions. So again, type it in the chat box. Type your questions in the chat box, or any topics that you want to discuss, or if you want to vent or anything. This is a safe space to do so. Let's see, Editor Edward, what's a good strategy to stand out right now in such a tight labor market? Well, again, I'm going to push the networking, but I'm going to say specifically outreach. Outreach is like just staying on people's radar. Staying visible. Visibility is very important. What do I mean by that? Well, aside from just simply reaching out to people, staying in touch, is also, I've always have felt that like social media, if you turn it into like a networking tool, it's very helpful and it's great. And that's what I did when I first started out here in LA, was that I took my social media and I instead of like posting, whatever, funny pictures or stuff like that, I turned it into just, I'm going to use this for networking. And so how do I stay visible is by going on a bunch of these, say post-production groups, posting questions, posting comments on people's questions or people's pictures or whatever, even liking photos, just being active. And I know some people might, have their thoughts about, say, social media, but I think it's just how, you kind of change your mindset about it and how you actually use it. And if you use it for work, it's a great tool. And that's just the way to stay visible and being like, all right, well, Editor Edward, he's around or they're around. Or what are you doing? Like, share the stuff that you're doing that has to do with, say, work and like being creative maybe, right? I mean, like there's certain things that I post, like if I'm, like, I don't know, playing the drums or stuff like that, or I take a trip or anything that's creative, like I tend to post about, and I like doing it, I like sharing that stuff, but it keeps me visible. It allows me to stay on people's radar. So that's something that you could certainly do, right? And that's the thing. It's like not, I know a lot of us just, okay, we're thinking about like, oh, but I need a job, and we want that right away. I mean, sure, I get it, but it's like you got to understand, you got to play here the long game. That's the thing about this. You're investing, it's a long-term investment. And if you don't do these things, say like outreach or staying visible, you will disappear. You don't want that. You will disappear. People will forget about you. And that, I mean, I literally made a video about that. That's how editors disappear. Let me find that, because the reason why I made all this stuff, here, I'll post it in the chat. And that's how you can stand out, because I will say that a lot of people, maybe the majority of people, don't do it. And I know because I get the messages, I have the discussions, people saying, I'm scared, I feel I'm going to bother someone, I don't know what to do or how to do it, like overthinking it. Like if there's something like, like there's a secret way to do it. And it's like, you just got to do it. You just got to do it and try to be yourself and just have conversations or, discussions with people, ask questions and stay in touch. And again, if you want just more tips on that and how to stay, with that momentum going and get ideas on how to do it and just have a system in play, have this 7-day momentum plan. I mean, honestly, it'll help you out. But look, there's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of content on the Hollywood Editing Mentor YouTube channel about this that'll give you tips on how to stay visible and how to reach out to people, what not to do. Corey Trends, what's up, dude? Networking events with the free drink ticket are the best. Absolutely. Or are those? Yeah, so look, I've been enjoying creating these YouTube videos. Obviously, I'm trying to kind of make let's say what do you want to call it? HEM 2.0. Because things have changed. Again, I was away from HEM for over a year. Thankfully, I was working, and a lot of things have changed in that time. So I'm trying to just now, adapt things or create things that are just, address the current situation, and also that are, say tips or advice that's tailored to what we're going through, because it is a bit different. So yeah, look at I would greatly appreciate your support if you subscribe to the channel and like this stream. It definitely helps get the word out about Hollywood Editing Mentor. Like I always say, I want to make this the ultimate resource for the post-production community around the world. As you can see, we have people from all over. So certainly appreciate your support. My camera says it's getting hot. It is warm here. Hopefully it doesn't turn off. You must have a Canon. I used to. That was my first DSLR. I am a Fuji man now. AI is a great tool for things like this. Getting an email template you can use to send out to people. Claude works great for that. I agree. Yes, but don't rely on AI, ChatGPT, or Claude, whatever you use. Don't rely on that just to write your email. And don't rely on templates, please. I can tell. Your voice has to come out. Your personality has to come through. You have to be authentic. So again, it's a tool, but don't just rely on that. I'm going to have a video about this, not necessarily AI, but next week, new video coming about outreach emails, what not to do. And I'm going to be using a specific example. I'm going to break it down of a bad email that I got recently. So again, don't miss that. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified when that video goes up. Exactly. No one likes to feel like they're bothering anyone. However, you don't ask, then the answer is always going to be no. Exactly. That's the thing. And yeah, exactly. If you don't do anything, then you have a secured, no for yourself, right? But don't just assume you're going to bother anyone. And if you do bother someone, well, hey, that's not the right person to reach out to, right? I get it. Look, I got to say that, many years ago when I was starting out, I also was the same way. I didn't want to bother people. I wrote extremely long messages asking for work and doing everything wrong. But I was able to turn it around. And I made these changes, and my career took off. And that's the thing. It's just kind of just putting that aside, especially the bothering people. Because, first of all, very likely you're not going to bother anyone. Sure, they might not reply because they're busy. They forget, right? And sure, maybe someone just doesn't want to reply. That is a thing, but don't take it personal. Like, it's not about you. All you do is, move on. Because if you just sit there kind of thinking about it and not sending it, well, then then you're not going to go anywhere and you're going to remain invisible. Exactly. Yeah, Raul. A few weeks ago, I cold emailed an editor who I admire. He responded he wasn't able to meet me because he's busy on a movie at the moment, but he was appreciative and said to keep in touch. There you go. That's a win. Good job. Yeah, exactly. Don't expect anything. I mean, don't expect to get a meeting and certainly not a job, you just want to get a reply. I mean, that's a good goal to have, right? And if you do get a reply, that's a huge win. Take that as a win to keep that momentum going. Keep doing it. Yeah, AI strips my personality from my emails. It's not good all the time. Absolutely, it isn't. And I can certainly tell when people use it. And that's the thing. And again, yeah, sure. I hear you, Ms. Java, because he says, it's for those that are nervous. It's a good start for you to get comfortable. Sure, I understand completely. But don't rely on it because, and in general, like templates. Let's say just take the AI thing out of the equation, but templates, don't copy paste. I can also tell right away. You have to do your own research, write your own email with your own thoughts. And that takes work. Again, part of the 7-day momentum plan, because it is time and energy to do this research, to write a quality email though, but it's well worth the investment in time because you're more likely to sound authentic and get a reply. I don't want to use AI because of its environmental impacts. Is it becoming a necessary part of the workflow in film and TV editing? From my experience, no, it's not. Not yet. And so who knows how that's going to, I mean, I'm sure it'll make its way in somehow. I don't know when or to what degree. But I have not experienced it myself on a job or, yeah. Yeah, see, I sometimes use AI to write a first draft of correspondence, but I always do my own rewrite. Absolutely, that's a good way to do it. So I'm curious. I have a question for you. Like, what's been the hardest part for you lately? I mean, like, has it been getting work, staying consistent, writing outreach emails, going to networking events, kind of not knowing what to do next? Like, what's the hardest part for you right now? Well, I have a question. Oh, here we go. I know there's like a little bit of a delay. I think it's like 4 seconds. Says John Kenny, I'm trying to figure out if I'm better off freelancing or not. It took me, I had a staff job for about 10 years. And probably it took me like 5 years to finally, pull the trigger and become a freelancer. I mean, this is back in the day, but I get it. I will just say, I mean, like it's, everyone's, you got to decide what works best for you. But I will say that it would be very tough for me to go back to a staff job right now, even with like the current situation. Venture Tales. I got so demoralized I stopped even trying, getting by on low budget projects, but I miss making good money. I hear you. The way I see that, though, I'm glad you brought this up because I've experienced this myself where, again, I've experienced downtimes. I mean, like, unemployment. It's part of the gig. I'll share a quick story. Like, there was a time where I was like, came off a really successful show and I wanted to keep that momentum and work on the same kind of types of shows and I guess avoid other ones. I was just trying to really navigate my career. And so I started saying no to a lot of things and then like the strikes hit and then, it's like, oh, wow, okay, like now there's no work, and I don't regret it. But then I just started taking really low paying jobs because I think it's important to, speaking of momentum, to keep working, to keep editing. And, it was, I probably made more off of unemployment, but, it was better than zero. That's the way I saw it, right? And so I kept cutting these ultra low budget projects, right? And did I miss the money? Absolutely. But in a way, I was also like, it kind of reminded me why I got into editing. And it took me back to those days, when I was way younger and I was just sitting in my room being creative and editing and making music and all this stuff. So it just took me back to that and to remind me like, wow, I love this stuff, And I also believed in just simply putting it out into the universe and to saying like, all right, I want to do this. I want to work. I love it. I know I understand money is important, but I'm not doing it for the money. I would, if I wanted money, I'd do something else. But then eventually that, a big project came around. And so I think it's also just important to keep cutting as much as you can and try not to focus so much on the money. I know everyone's situation is different, but it is important to look at the bright side of saying like, right, I'm still doing this. I'm still staying sharp. That's another thing, staying sharp, your skills. And also like, for example, like speaking of networking, like being able to go to an event or whatever, or talk to people and say that I'm working. Yeah, sure, it's a low budget project, but I'm working, I'm editing. Yeah, for me, says Raula, I'm definitely staying. For me, it's definitely staying consistent about doing cold outreach emails, but I am slowly working on that. Yeah, and again, through this 7-day momentum plan, I show you just how to stay consistent and how to build a system, a weekly system that'll get you to send out the next amount of cold outreach emails, and just kind of keep doing it and improving that over and over. It's a system. Just keep doing it to keep that momentum going. But yeah, there's a way to do it. Not knowing who to reach out to, what to say, and looking for work has been the most difficult part. Yeah, I for example, first of all, like not knowing who to reach out to. Well, I would just say, first of all, pick whose work do you admire, right? Who would you like to work with? Because that's part of it. It's like the people that like that, you're like, oh man, I like their work, or I want to work on that type of film or this and that. It's gonna be your email or your message is gonna just be more authentic. It's gonna be very natural. And you could start there, right? And also like simply what to say. It's like, well, again, yeah, look at first thing is the easiest thing is like to just, talk about a project, right? Maybe, or even like say, I listen to, for example, a lot of podcasts, like, about with editors or read a lot of articles. I'm in the mix. That's the other thing. I'm just in the mix. I'm in it. I've decided to do this and I'm just constantly like trying to keep up with the industry. Like who's doing, not so much like the industry news, all the negative stuff, but like just what are people doing? What is out? Like not in the sense of just, and I love obviously for entertainment purposes, but what are people doing? What's happening? That's important if we want to do this as well. So stay in the loop. And so picking up on say things, sometimes I'll hear an interview or read an article and it's like, oh wow, that I I'm the same way, or I agree with this, or I connected on something. And I just reach out to the person and say, hey, I listened to your interview and I just thought it was great what you said and blah, blah, blah. And that's it, and then maybe, down the line, I just send another email. Hey, just, whatever, wanted to check in, this and that. But you opened up a door, right? And again, it's not expecting anything. I'm just literally being authentic and saying, hey, like, I really enjoyed what you said, or I like what you did. Like, that's it. Yeah, so the hardest part for me is to follow up emails after meeting to continue building relationships. Yeah, and like that's the thing where a lot of people get it wrong is the follow up, because I even noticed it myself. It's like I'll meet people that I think are great, and they don't follow up. They just don't follow up, and suddenly they'll like just pop up, like, you know, say when they need something, like, you know, years later, you know. I mean, I get it, right? But I'm just saying that it doesn't take a lot to just simply stay on people's radar. Just check in. What's up? Hey, again, baseball's back. Woo. You're gonna type that. Woo. That's it. What are you up to? You excited too? That's it. Probably made some bad cold calls, letting time pass to try a better approach. And that's good. Look, that's good. And that happens, right? Because I mean, like, I'm glad you also brought that up because, again, I didn't start off like writing these amazing, like, cold outreach emails or networking correctly. I didn't. I did it pretty bad, actually. And, but I was self-aware and decided to kind of take a step back and be like, all right, what things are not working out? I'm not getting replies. I'm not, you know, getting leads, you know, there's no movement. So instead of being like kind of pointing the finger, it's like, well, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? All right. So let me take a look. And so, yeah, good. You look and see how you can improve and do it better. It's trial and error and just being consistent. And again, there's a way to track this stuff to see visually, all right, what is working? Are people replying? Are they not? What are they saying? There's systems to do this. And again, I show you that through that 7-day momentum plan. It's free. And a bunch of resources, videos, whatnot on the YouTube channel that'll help you with that. Hey, Julia, ¿qué onda? She says, the hardest thing for me since my last assistant editor job ended in May 2025 has just been hearing about any opportunities. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, and you know, and I'm part of a lot of circles, a lot of groups, and there's moments. I mean, and the majority, yeah, like you suddenly don't hear anything, and suddenly, oh, there's stuff. And so all I can say is that right now, at this moment, I don't know if it's going to necessarily change anytime soon, is that it's so important to be in networks to hear about what is going on. Again, jobs, and also I mentioned earlier, just the industry, news. That is so important. And so it's always constantly trying to make an effort to grow your network or staying in touch with your network, not just kind of being like, all right, and I'm not saying you did this, but like, you know, I finished the gig, I'm stepping away. It's like, no, the work continues, and it's more important now to stay on people's radar, staying visible, and also just to know what's going on. And that's right now, hiring is happening in tight circles. That's what I can say, because there is work. I mean, yeah, 30% sounds sounds good. Well, here's a good question. If you have no editing credits, what is the second most important thing people want to see on a resume? So this takes me to one of my students that I work with a while back, and he came from finance. Literally worked in finance. Never edited in his life, I don't think, maybe just besides, you know, home movies. And he said, I don't want to work in finance anymore, and I want to work in post-production. And he came to me for help. And I'm all right, this is a challenge. Let's do this. And so one thing I knew right away was like, okay, well, it's going to be tough for you to, say, get started as an editor, right? That's going to be tough. That's a stretch. And it might be, then the next thing is, say, assistant editor. I'm like, well, it might be also a stretch, right? But I'm like, would you be open to being a post-production assistant? He's like, yeah, I'll do whatever. I don't care. I'll do it. Okay, great. Because right away I went, all right, well, the stuff that's, for example, that you say are your skills from the finance world, I'm pretty sure we could tie them now to what it is to be a post-production assistant. And we did just that. So everything, it was a lot about, like, say, the softer skills. So didn't lean on so much on the technical stuff because just didn't have it. So we really leaned into the soft skills. And he got it. He works now in post-production, is working in New York on high-profile TV shows. And so I say that because I really lean into a lot into, like, the soft skills. And it depends on, say, what job you're going for, right? But you can steer, because I didn't have scripted editing credits, and I was able to steer people into, say, looking at me in a different light and kind of pushing that away and saying, no, don't look at that fact that I don't have editing credits, right? And so I would lean into, like, say, in the way I wrote my emails, outreach emails, or even how I handled interviews, I always lean into, like, personality and what people's interests are, and kind of, in a way, guiding that conversation away from the fact that I didn't have editing credits. And so I really lean into, like, personality, my hobbies, interests. I mean, that's why I always say to my students, like, put hobbies, like, say, on your resume. And I've had students who have gotten jobs, say, because they've put a certain hobby on their resume. I'm not saying they got the job because of that. They got someone's attention, right? And maybe, and again, I know I'm thinking of a specific student that literally was right out of college and got a job in the pandemic within a month of her and I working together. And it was like lean into the soft skills or your interests, right? Because, yeah, sure, you've cut maybe some student films, this and that, but okay, that's going to be tough. So, I remember this post-producer was like, oh, he saw that she had something about golf on her resume. That started a conversation, right, about golf, and really liked her and whatnot, and eventually hired her, right? So, I really think, and it's because this is a relationship business. It's about relationships. It's about getting to know someone, being comfortable, and vibing, right? So that's what I would say I would lean on if I don't have, say, the not only the editing credits, but maybe also the technical stuff, right? I mean, you have to have some basic technical skills, right? But I'm just saying, there's a way to guide people into, say, looking at some of your other skills if you don't have, in this case, experience or editing credits per se. This is I love all your questions. It is great. Let's see, what else? Let's see. Let's go through the comments here. I also want to get to know, say, more about you and just kind of what your situation is right now. Jorge, ¿qué huele, compa? Hi, compa. I recently heard of a showrunner I work with got the green light to do another show. I emailed to congratulate her, and she responded with thank you and asked how I was. I said I was good, but unfortunately told her I was not working in scripted. She hasn't responded. I don't know if I should follow up. Yes, definitely follow up. Yeah, give it some. I mean, like, I don't know when you reached out, but, like, yeah, I always follow up. again, especially if, for example, this case of a showrunner that got the green light for another show, I'm sure they're pretty busy right now. So yeah, definitely follow up. I don't, I know you mentioned, like, say you probably said you're not working in scripted. I think I gotta say that I feel like people right now understand that, people are just doing anything types of jobs, right? So if you worked in scripted and now maybe you're doing, commercials or whatever, or, people understand that right now, for sure. But I think it's how you word it. It's like to remind them that you don't have to tell your life story, but, phrase it in a way where it's like, I'm looking to get back into the scripted game, just looking to get back into the scripted work, or I don't know, whatever, right? I mean, like, that's fine. Because people understand that you right now just kind of trying everything. But I understand you, but like, yeah, I don't think that definitely is something bad that you mentioned that. But I definitely, yeah, that's a good lead. I mean, that's something that's worth definitely following up for sure. Job boards, so Gabriel's asking, are y'all finding work on job boards? I haven't used a job board in a very, very long time. And I guess it depends on what type of work you're doing. I will say that, say for film and TV work, it's the majority. Just because I don't want to say all, right? But it's going to be through contacts, referrals, and whatnot. That's going to be tough to find something on a job board. Say something in film and TV. Union, to take it one step further. Oh, another good question. Man, you guys are on fire today. How important is a website? I got used to getting hired in television based on my resume alone. 22 years of experience in television. I think it's good to have a website. I think it's like not like, because what I hear a lot is this people think that just like, oh, I have a website and I'm just gonna get hit up by people and people are just gonna throw work at me, right? Doesn't work that way. Now, sure, someone might find to get lucky. Sure, it happens, right? And I think it's good to have a good website. I have one, and I think it's good to have it, to have visibility out there. And I share it for sure. Like if sometimes, when sending out, for example, emails, I'll put it in my signature just in case. You don't know, just people see what I do. If they're curious and just click on it, and at least they get to just see what I do, and that's it, right? Without me really like pushing it on them, like saying this is what I do. It's like it's there. You see a little blue link there. I'm sure they'll probably click on it, right? So I think it's worth it, but definitely, whether you send it to someone intentionally or not, and you don't have to make anything complicated. Mine is super, 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 super simple. But also, yeah, understand that there's a right way to do a website. So yeah, no, I think it's good to have it for sure. I recommend it. And then kind of being kind of strategic on who you send that out to and whatnot. But like for example, I'll put a link to my website on my resume. Because again, it's like, yeah, one thing is seeing the resume, and another thing is like seeing, just kind of like pictures, of the jobs that I've done. I also have like a press section of like, say, podcasts or, that have interviewed me, and it has a little bit more about me, like say like my about page. So, yeah, it definitely helps. I recommend it. That's all I can say. Oh, and another good question here about kind of something similar. Do reels help? I've heard mixed opinions. I guess it depends on like what you are kind of work you're looking for. Um, I have not had to show a reel in 10 years. I don't know. I mean, more. Because again, everything has been through referrals and relationships. So I guess it just depends, like what kind of work you're trying to do. I guess kind of like the website, it doesn't hurt. But I think, when back in the day when I used to send my reel, I kind of got into like not sending out necessarily a reel, but more sending like, cause I was working on so many different things. I used to work like on sports, like documentaries, news, and this and that. And so whenever I applied to a job, I just sent clips that were related to that job. I sent direct links versus a reel, right? So I would send, if I had worked on, say, a talk show, I would send clips of a talk show that I worked on versus like a reel that had like different things like sports. And they did have one like sports and documentaries and talk shows. Or I just could have made a reel for like, say, just talk shows, right? So that also works. I found that, for example, like say anything narrative, I prefer to send like individual scenes or clips because I just don't like the way it works necessarily with in a reel format. Anyways, we could really dive deep into this stuff. But again, it's like a website. It's like it's not gonna hurt you, right? So it's sure. Again, it depends like what you're trying to work in, the work you're trying to get. I just don't think I don't see a reason for like it hurting you. Man, that camera is like burning. If it turns off, well, you know why. Oh wow, it's already 7:00. This went fast. Oh my God. Okay, we'll have to wrap this up soon. But wow, I'm gonna have to do more of these. Again, if you found this helpful, enjoying it, hit that like button and subscribe to the Hollywood Editing Mentor YouTube channel. It's a way to support HEM. Again, I'm trying to grow this and just make this just the most amazing learning resource for editors, assistants, just post-production professionals all around the world. And certainly cannot do it without your support. So definitely subscribe to the channel and hit like here on this live stream. Let's see, Corey Trent, what's your take on including editing work on an assistant editor resume toward the bottom after showcasing AE work? I love this question because I've gotten into arguments about this. I believe that if you're gonna, and I literally just had a conversation about this the other day. I think that if you're gonna be applying as or have an assistant editor resume, and you're looking for that type of work, I would recommend sticking to just assistant editing credits. I think that if, for example, just on a resume, because what tends to happen is that when and again, I literally had this conversation 2 days ago. What can happen, not all the time, but can happen, is that people see that or assistant editor and then like all this editing stuff, even if it's at the bottom, it's like, oh, okay, well, you're clearly looking to move up. You're ready to edit, and some people can take it as like, oh, well, you're just looking for an opportunity to cut, but I need someone to be an assistant editor. That's what I need, right? So my recommendation is if you are doing that, you're an assistant editor and looking for a assistant editor work, keep it as assistant editor. Now, if you do get, say, an interview or start a conversation or get hired, definitely bring up that you edited. At that point, yeah, okay, I've edited, this and that, and say it, and And actually that might help to maybe someone throwing scenes at you to cut, possibly getting a co-edit, maybe, right? But I think that's the way to manage it, is like kind of like from the get-go, you're trying to get that type of job, get that job, list those types of credits. And then if the opportunity comes up, then mention that you do edit. Oh man, all these great questions. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to be here and also just interacting and asking stuff. And again, I understand how this is needed right now, and so I'm happy to do this, and I think I'll just do it more often. And I'm gonna keep doing videos. I got a video coming up next Tuesday. You'll be seeing that. It's about what not to do when writing cold outreach emails. We've talked a lot about that today. I am gonna take a bad email that I got recently. I'm gonna break it down and tell you why it's bad and why it's killing your chances. And again, it's not to roast anyone by any means. I hope this person, if they watch the video, find it helpful, and this will help their career moving forward, and certainly help you as well. Because a lot of it is also like, we always like, oh, what should I do? It's like, well, I think it's good to know what not to do. And so gonna have that as a total breakdown, this video coming up here on Hollywood Editing Mentor YouTube channel. Subscribe so you get notified when that video drops. Speaking of videos, I mean, I made one recently about, we all as editors love getting notes, right? We love getting notes. So I made a video about how to handle notes with directors and producers. I give you 5 tips there on how to handle note sessions. Check it out. All right, gonna start winding this down because this camera is about to blow up, catch on fire. But maybe do one more question. Oh, this is a good one. As an assistant editor, if I cut something on a union show and it's in the lock cut, should I ask for credit for that scene that I cut, or should I add it to my reel? Well, I don't think you can ask for a credit for a scene. And as far as adding it to your reel, I vote for no. And I look, I get it. I was in that position at some point, and when I was starting out and I was an assistant editor, I was cutting stuff. But I did not put that stuff on a reel or a website, even if I just cut the scene. I did not do it. And at that, the only thing I could say is that if you talk to your editor and they somehow agree for you to use it on your website or whatnot, that scene. But I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. No. Unless you strictly got a co-editing credit on that episode, I wouldn't do it. But maybe and your editors is okay with it. I don't but I wouldn't do it. Better cut before the Fuji erupts. Yeah. The thing is, like, red exclamation marks are saying, all right, dude, you're done. I'm about to catch on fire. Your camera wants to catch the rest of the Dodgers game. No way, go Padres. Thank you for your time and insight. Yeah, hey, thank you for being here. John Kenny. All right. Julia, go Padres. Yeah, good to see you, Julia. Thanks for being here. Ben Park, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, stay in touch. Look, if you are on here, you are, and you're not on the Hollywood Editing Mentor newsletter, go on HollywoodEditingMentor.com and sign up to stay in touch. Stay in touch and get notified when I do more of these events, when I create new videos, new podcast episodes, and literally just stay in touch. Again, practice your outreach. I send emails, so you can send me emails as well. But again, it's a good way to stay in touch. Head on over to HollywoodEditingMentor.com. Just sign up for the newsletter. Or again, you can just download here this 7-day momentum plan. And you will get that free guide and also be on the newsletter. You can do it right now. Thank you, Edward. David, thank you for being here. Hey, Hector, are you picking up the Run Club anytime soon? Not at the moment, but we'll let you know when I do. I am still running. I just ran a marathon, and I'm actually signed up for one in December, but I don't know if I'll be able to go because it's in Spain, and it's really expensive. But I hope you're still running, Hector, and we'll definitely let you know if we'll keep doing that anytime soon. I mean, you can definitely follow the Hollywood Editing Mentor Run Club on Strava. If you're on Strava, look for the Hollywood Editing Mentor Run Club, HEM Run Club, and we can all stay connected and follow our runs. Oh, nice. Thank you. Yeah, Julia. Yeah, Barcelona Marathon. Yeah, I heard it was fun. I got into the Valencia Marathon. And it's just that the hotels are so expensive. But it's a cool race. I don't know. I have until October to decide. Anyways, yeah, runners, check out HEM Run Club on Strava. Let's connect there. All right. Well, again, thank you for being here, Brian. Hey, thanks for being here, Brian. Glad you were able to stop by. Yeah, thank you for being here. Honestly, this has been fun. I mean, this went by quick. We could keep talking, but I gotta go. And but let's stay in touch. Again, sign up for the newsletter on HollywoodEditingMentor.com or download the 7-day momentum plan. The link is in the chat right there. And stay tuned. Got more YouTube videos coming up. If you ever want to see something specific from me, a video, a certain topic you want me to discuss, hit me up. I'm always looking for ideas and feedback. If there's anything you want to see on this platform, literally just let me know. And you can do so by staying in touch through the newsletter, again, on HollywoodEditingMentor.com. All right. Well, again, thank you for being here. This was great. I will see you next time. Have an excellent night.